alone. So you can imagine last year, we don't have the stats from 2021 yet, but you can imagine how we will have exploded. And what's also clear is that it has helped this whole process of digitalization is to reduce non-tariff barriers, right? So notably the barriers for small and medium enterprises have basically lowered because of the digitalization. So you can basically cross border much more easily, which in turn is important for our economic recovery, right? So the internet economy is expected to reach over 300 billion euros by 2025. So these are huge numbers. So yeah, anyway, again, happy to be here, Weena.
But of course, it comes with its own set of challenges, and especially when it comes to digital creativity, there's always a question of how we can protect our goods and how we can access the market safely. What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a few challenges. Think about data protection. I think it's something on the top of all of our minds. How can we protect what we do on the internet? How our own space is protected there? But think also about intellectual property. And we've been working with ASEAN on this issue through this project, which we call Arise Plus Intellectual Property Rights. And I'm very happy that we have our project leader here, Tiago Guerreiro.
I'm so glad you have to introduce him. I don't have to pronounce his name, so you have to.
We'll just call him Tiago today. So he can tell us a little bit more about what he actually does with this project. So Tiago, welcome. You want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, Tiago.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, and hello, Weena. And well, I think the pronunciation of my name was also very, very good. Thank you about that. No, I'm so happy to be here today and very excited to share a little bit the experiences of Arise Plus IPR in working with the ASEAN region to basically helping promote creativity, protection of goods, market access, as Mr. Ambassador just mentioned now, in ASEAN, and well, looking forward for our discussions this afternoon. So thank you so much.
All right, we can go further and introduce our next guest. Pak Igor, would you like to introduce Arabelle Chuang?
With pleasure. So Arabelle, I understand you're an interdisciplinary artist, as you call that, from Singapore. Yes. Good to have you here. Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself as well.
Sure, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Arabelle. I'm an interdisciplinary artist where my practice spans across photography, moving image, and textiles. So in my practice, I examine interpersonal relationships, beauty in the peripheral, and the cyclical nature of being. So I'm interested in developing narratives as such for multiplicities of everyday life and layers in between. And I've worked on some commercial photography projects throughout the past 2 to 3 years, which includes like FT Weekend, South China Morning Post, and some lifestyle brands. And I've also been fortunate to have my works published on Artsy, CNN, Metal Magazine, and also have my works exhibited in Singapore, London, USA, and Australia.
Wonderful. Nice. Arabelle, it's so lovely to meet a fellow artist and to bridge into fashion. Let me show you what I do in my spare time. I'm like a little grandma. I do a little bit of knitting just to bridge into fashion and sustainable fashion. The next guest is a very talented lady, Tao Fu. Tao is a fashion designer and eco-fashion entrepreneur, the founder of Kilomet 109. If you haven't seen it, go see it on her website. It's really cool, sustainable fashion movement in which Tao managed to both have social impact and also maintain her design integrity. But let's hear it from Tao directly. Hi Tao, where are you? There you are. Can you please share a little bit about what Kilomet 109 is? Look at that. That's just gorgeous. I just can't believe what I'm seeing. Look at the colors. Look at the piece of clothing. Tell us more. Is that dyeing? hemp and yam roots.
Thank you,
Tell us more
Weena.
about it.
Thank you. I'm getting excited just listening to the voice. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. So, through the image, or maybe some of you already know a bit about Kilometer 109. We stand for an elegant interplay between Eastern and Western influences by blending simple flattering silhouettes with a sophisticated color palette and adding a subtle touch of Vietnam heritage, especially in the textile area. We have been working with several craft community across Vietnam, including the vulnerable ethnic minority groups in northern Vietnam, in Central Highland, and also in Mekong Delta area. And we work with them to create handmade fabrics using local materials, natural dyes, and apply traditional methods to create modern pieces. These help to provide the valuable source of extra income for the women. Mostly, we have a man too working for us in this community, and help to incentivize the preservation of fading traditions, which are happening in Vietnam in the past 10 years. And Kilometer 109 not only known for weaving the diverse array of indigenous methods seamlessly into practical fashions and affordable fashion, but we also has significant exploitation to showcasing the Vietnamese cultural value through fine art installations. And our works has been exhibited and so in Vietnam and around the world, London and New York and Tokyo, and also in Europe too.
Thank you, Tao. Wonderful, wonderful way of not just through fashion, but also having social impact with minority groups and traditional values that is still very strong in Vietnam. I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Hanoi and Sapa, and I've seen how the Hmong people show their piece of art there. And it's actually one of the last trip I did before the pandemic starts. So it give me last memories. Vietnam was the last country I visited before I have to stay at home. But I would love to be
one of the best.
Also,
that is one of the best destinations to
yes,
to
lovely,
visit.
lovely. It's wonderful. What do you think, Pa Igor? Looking at
like
the
you, I'm
works
very
of
impressed.
Arabelle and Tao.
Very impressed indeed. I mean, these colors, it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, let's be honest, the last 2 years, 3 years haven't been easy on any of us. But I think if you're young and you're creative, it's probably been harder than on some of the other people in our society. And I'd just be curious to hear how you guys have been coping with this pandemic and how it affects your thought process, your creative process, because you also get inspiration, you get creative by interacting with others, right? And
true.
what happens then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you like
what
to
do you
answer
think?
that, Tal, first? How do you find
Mhm.
inspiration when we're mostly have to stay at home? You can't travel as much. And I know in the beginning of the pandemic, Vietnam was quite strict about their stay-at-home ground rules. How do you cope with that in the artistic sense?
Right. It's definitely very challenging for me as a designer and creator, and even harder for our network of artisans and makers. And working with design, it's very tactile kind of process. So you need to touch, you need to feel, you need to be there, like you say, we need to travel. So when it's cut off, all of that, the beginning it's hard, but it has the bright side of it too. So it put me in the focus mood, and also to pay attention a lot more in other platforms, including digital platform, to be able to maintain, to keep engaged with my others, international communities, including creative community, designers, fund, organizations and all of that, and educator too. And by doing that, it helped me a lot to strengthen the brand in terms of, we dealing with the same thing. So,
right.
we weakening with the same kind of environment. So by doing that, we can be able to reach out and actually have some really beautiful story came out of that too. When you really not have human contact, and we got some amazing response from our clients and also the people that I'm working previously in other projects, and they really care about us because we're working with communities, with artisans and all of that, and the client and the customers so worried that we're going to hurt badly. So many of them
That's wonderful.
went ahead to email us, yes, and all of that. So it's a many wonderful things came out of this as well.
We get to know who our friends are. How about you, Arabelle? How do you stay creative with the limitation of traveling and the kind of stimuli that it must be very different, because basically can't experience the way we used to, experience life the way we used to. How do you stay creative? What's the creative process now with Arabelle?
A lot of, searching outside on social media, of course. Photography is very visual, and there's always, photography and photographers trying to, put their work out on social media. So that's been really great, and getting to connect to other photographers as well. Actually, it's been quite good. I actually still managed to get like international jobs, or people who were looking to do work within Singapore, but they were away from Singapore. So, that's how they approached, and that's how I got my jobs through that as well. So for me, it wasn't as tough, but I can't say for other people. But in terms of like my own practice and conceptual art, I think it was nice to also have a short break from, everything, and having that solitude to kind of breathe, take time for your art, because, art, you need time and you need space. So that was really nice. And I had a lot of time to also explore different mediums, like going into textiles, going to like technologies, like, GAN, which is generative adversarial networks, and like AI model learning. So that was
we'll talk more about that. That's very interesting. It's something out of the box. But as Pa Igor mentioned, this is about creative process. When we talk about creating and creativity, there is a need to protect the rights of this creator. Let's call out Tiago, not Pa Igor. Let's invite Tiago to join the conversation. Tiago, enlighten us. How do we protect the rights of these creators? While many of us don't travel much, and like Arabelle is saying, putting the work out there in social media and stuff like that, will that jeopardize the rights of these creators?
Well, thank you for that. And indeed, I think the protection is something that we really need to talk about. When you create something that's a product of hard work and creativity, as we were just listening right now. So we want to make sure that those efforts are rewarded, and it's just fair that you, as the creator, will be the one to earn from the work that you've made, and not someone else that doesn't have neither your permission or actually didn't do anything to create the work. So this is where intellectual property actually helps. It makes sure that creators have a say on who and how others can use their work, and this enables them to determine how much they can earn from it. So artists, also because of being protected from others misusing the works or inventions, they also have much more confidence in keeping crafting and inventing, which is obviously great for us that appreciate movies, songs, digital content, nice fashion designs. So just to give some examples of how intellectual property is actually around us, we just talk about Arabelle's artistic works and also Tao's creation with innovative fashion designs. So for these creations, there can be protection under copyright, which protects creative works, as well as industrial designs, which protects the unique look of products, patterns, and the combination of design elements of your goods. You've also mentioned before, and Tao, about the Kilomet 109 brand. So a trademark protection that makes sure that only Tao, or whoever she gives permission to, can actually use the Kilomet 109 brand on genuine products created by Tao. So obviously, the first step to protecting any creation is to register with the proper authorities, just so you have the legal record that says that the IP is created and that you own it. No, so it's just like having a title or a building, a fence around your property. No, we want to protect it from any trespassers, basically. No, so the same goes for intellectual property rights. And actually nowadays, with the pandemic, most of the ASEAN IP offices really made it a lot easier and more convenient for anyone to register their intellectual property rights. Sometimes in some offices, you don't even need to get out of your place. So you can do all of this online. So I also encourage you to look into the your respective countries' IP office website in order for you to protect your works and registering your intellectual property.
There seems to be awareness level that needs to be raised, because some people are aware of it, but a lot of people are not aware of the importance of this intellectual property rights, isn't it? Maybe not in Europe, but I think in ASEAN, I don't know how much people are aware about this.
Definitely in Europe, it also is the case, and I think there's a lot of efforts at the EU level, but also at the ASEAN level, and we work together with the IP offices of creating this awareness on intellectual property rights for people to better understand what it is, and for people to use it more. Because ultimately, if you create something and you don't protect it, anyone can just copy it, and it's not illegal. If you protect it, you can earn the money from your work, basically. No, if you don't protect it, unfortunately, anyone can just come and pick your idea, pick your creativity, and benefit from it. So it's really, really important that people are aware to protect their intellectual property rights, and also that's why we work on awareness on this topic.
Okay, Pak Igor, you have questions for Arabelle and Tao?
Yeah, I was wondering how you, as artists, relate to intellectual property. Are you aware of these processes, of the kind of things you have to go to register, as Tiago said? Have you done that? Is that on top of your mind? Or is it the last thing you would think about?
Yes, well, thank you, Tiago, and thank you for the question. My label will register in 2012 when I launched the brand legally. So it's the name of Kilomet 109 logo and the trademark fully protected. To me, it's so important for creator to be creative and at the same time to be protected of creativity, and that would have to create the community, the healthy community. The creative community, it's more healthy way, because when you protect it, you're going to put other people in more innovate and more creative. So we still consider as a very small and independent brand, very small business model, very much self-sufficient. I don't have a big finance support to be able to do copyright for every single design, but so far we haven't seen any knockoff of our design yet. And I believe that is the complexity of our process of making products. because only the textile making, we already work with several communities, and each community taking part of one method or one textile. So, you know, for example, like one blazer, we work with two Hmong community. One is making the hem fabric and the other one to do the batik for the lining. So if you want to copy or want to steal the design, it costs a lot. And it's a very collaborative way of working. So it's quite difficult to steal. And we 100% transparent. So each garment and each design have a story behind it, and we share it widely through social media and our website. So, you know, the customer also educated through that too, to be aware what is the real and what is the fake. But I'm not, you know, by saying that I'm not 100 confident of that is enough to protect us. Maybe it's limited the stealing, but it's not protected completely. I think we need more tools to be able to do that.
Interesting. What about you, Arabelle? Have you gone through the same motions?
No, slightly different. In Singapore, I don't necessarily apply for copyright protection, but you know, as through my time as a freelance photographer and artist, I have learned how to protect my work. So, I mean, the common practices are to ensure that all your images are correctly metadata, and to never send your raw files to clients unless agreed in the contract. So there are some cases in which clients and commissioners request to have copyright, in which I do refuse. Instead, I provide them with licensing agreements which lay out the parameters in which they can use and display the item. So it's really important to ensure you know where the images are going, like are these for marketing purposes, considering the mediums, will it be print or on social media, the duration of when the images are used for, and so on and so forth. So it is paramount to check the terms in these licenses, especially if you're not the one drafting them, for things like worldwide buyout or any other unreasonable terms. So that's what I do in terms of protecting my rights. But these are all just small little things which I've learned along the way. Maybe I'm missing out something. So maybe, I don't know, Tiago, you can teach me a thing or two. Yeah.
If I may, just one thing to clarify to everyone out there is there indeed when you create something, when you create an artwork, automatically you earn copyrights over that artwork. They are yours. You don't need to register them per se. They are yours since the creation of the artwork. What I would advise is that you can register them. To avoid in the future someone coming with the exact same artwork. So you have a certificate that says it's your creation first, but you don't need to. It's yours. The copyright law is from its creation, and it lasts. Just for everyone to understand how economical beneficial you can have from this, copyright lasts life plus 50 to 70 years, depending on the jurisdictions, depending on the copyright law of each country. So you will be earning money from your art, from your creation, for so long, and even your kids, descendants will earn it from that. To put a simple example, I think Mariah Carey, she wouldn't need to work. Only what she earns from the Christmas period would be enough.
The Christmas song.
Yeah.
Everybody's Christmas song.
Imagine that for all her life, plus 50 or 70 years after that. The royalties of that song. So yeah.
So there is the copyright, and then there's a registration of it. These are the two that we get confused sometimes, right?
Correct. You have copyright since you create the artwork. You don't need to do nothing. I would advise that once you have it, you have the certification ready, so you register it in a registry. There is no examination process. There's nothing. It's just administrative process. So there's they are not going to examine your work or to approve it or not. It just goes on the registry, and you get a certificate, which might be useful for you in the future to protect yourself. So that is the thing. When it comes to design, there is a different process, because you can protect the design, the shape of a jacket, those you can protect, but that requires a proper examination from an intellectual property office, same as trademarks. You have to make sure that there are no similarity with other trademarks. So there is a little bit different, but when it comes to copyrights, be aware you have it since you create it. So I think that's important to mention.
Question, Tiago. If, say, I see that Tao made this wonderful logo, and I wanna steal it. You know, I wanna use it. I'm here in Jakarta. I think, oh, that's nice, and I just, you know, I take it and I start my own business. I stop being a diplomat, which is so awfully boring. I start a new business. Well, how can she then, you know, take me? I don't know. Would she have to take me to court, or how can she then enforce her rights?
Well, two things, two options in this hypothetical case. If you try to register the trademark in Indonesia, using exactly the same, it would depend whether the trademark is protected in Indonesia or not. So I believe that the trademark Tao protected in Vietnam. Obviously, the protection of trademarks as it's within the country you protect. No, for instance, in the EU, you can protect what it's called the EU-TM, European Union trademark, which you protect automatically in the 27 countries. So the protection goes to all of them, but you can also choose to go individually to each country. In ASEAN, there is no such system as an ASEAN trademark that you protect and you cover the 10 countries. So you have to individually protected in the 10 countries, but there are also international systems to facilitate this. With only one single application, you can get it. So, but if you try to protect and it's protected, the IP office will basically say, no, this trademark already exists, therefore you cannot protect or register it. If you try to basically use the brand without authorization, there's starts the enforcement work, and she can bring you to court, obviously stating that you don't have the rights to use that brand, you don't have the rights to use that logo, or you can end it amicably as well through mediation services that exist. So there are several options right there. But I would advise to be more creative in not using the work of others.
All right, or maybe stick with my current trade, right?
Also.
Can we take a little turn into something very new, something that is really exciting? The last few months, I think, if any of you who are here, have you heard about the NFT, the non-fungible token? I know this is not something totally brand new. It's been around for a few years, but the last 6 months, I think it's gone really, really hot topic. I first heard about it because my husband is a basketball cards collector since he was a teenager. And now there's basketball moments that you can collect with the NFT. And I was like, it's just a video. There's nothing interesting about it. But apparently it's the new way of enjoying a game. It's in a new way of enjoying fandom. And so I don't know whether this is going to be progress or something that to be sad about. The last Valentine's Day, a couple of days ago, I wasn't given flowers or chocolate or diamond. I got my first NFT, which is a picture of a lady in ginger hair. So I was very happy about it because I felt, okay, I'm now in 2022. This is something brand new. But let's talk about the NFT into monetizing creative arts, into the digital economy itself. Arabelle, have you been moving into NFT, or have you heard about it, or is it making progress in your world? What is it like for you, Arabelle?
So yes, I have gone into NFTs. So yeah, it was at the height of the NFT boom, and I had friends, good friends around me talking about it and, encouraging me to go and explore NFTs, because I was exploring with digital native works as well. So, coming out with like Stargarn images and everything. So yeah, it was a good time to go into it. So I was like, okay, yeah, why not? So at first I only saw it as, an alternate way of revenue. So I minted my first work through the platform Hikenook. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it uses the Tezos blockchain network. At the time, it's still quite a small platform. It's not as huge as like, Foundation or OpenSea. So my friends actually bought the works. Not too much money, but it's pretty cool to say that, people bought my work. But it was also a nice way to understand the technical workings of how an NFT works, such as gas fees, setting up a crypto wallet, amongst others. And then after that, I got invited to exhibit with Columns Gallery in a group exhibition called Material Sense, and it showcased digitally native works. And I listed my NFT on Foundation, which utilizes the Ethereum network. And so the gallery collected those two artworks to be sold on to the public.
Very exciting. I think one of the best thing about NFT and the blockchain technology is how it becomes a new door for artists around the world to be more appreciated and protected as well. We need to talk about the protection later with Tiago. How about you, Tao? How is the fashion world connecting with the digital creative economy? Are you with the NFT, or are you into it, or have you heard about it? And if it's not, how are you connecting your work with the digital creative economy?
Well, in the past few years in Vietnam, Well, in the past few years in Vietnam, I heard people, around me talking about Bitcoin, generative art, generative design, and NFT, of course. For Kilometer 109, we're not yet exploring that field yet. So it's the whole new world to me. But I just want to tell this story that kind of changed my mind, or not put me under pressure at the moment. So one of my loyal one of my very loyal customer who really fell in love with one pair of trousers that we made, and he loved it so much, so he kept coming back to our shop to buy the same one, but different fabric. And one time he asked me if he could buy the trouser, the design of the trouser completely. And he called it's my lifetime trousers, and and he said he can continue to wear this style for the rest of his life because he's so happy with it. He doesn't need any changing, maybe fabric. If you have a new fabric available.
Design of trousers. So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I first, when I heard that, I was confused, and I'm not prepared to give him the clear answer right away. But later on, I became obsessed with that idea. And I still not figured out how to process this from far, because he living, in different country, he moving quite a lot. So maybe NFT is the way to go, and I'm here to learn more about it.
Very interesting. Igor, what do you think about that? Well, I'm just throwing the microphone to you.
Sure. And I will throw the microphone directly to Tiago, because we have an expert here. Because to be entirely honest, and in the privacy of this virtual room, I will admit to you freely that until 2 days ago, I had never heard about NFTs. I had heard about the NFL, which is somewhere in the States, but this is totally new to me. So I watched 1 or 2 tutorials on YouTube late last night. But anyway, Tiago, what can you tell us about these beasts, these NFTs?
Well, I'll try my best to try to go through the NFTs. So basically, it's very trendy nowadays, the rise of the non-fungible tokens. So that's an NFT. And now these, actually, let's discuss a little bit also how these interact with IP rights. So as many of you might have heard in the news, the large sums of money involved in some NFTs, no? So there are actually a lot of questions about also the ownership of the NFTs, and Arabelle mentioned something before that I'll go back to, and also the digital IP protected works that may be associated with them. So what are NFTs? Simply put, if there's even possible, NFTs are unique digital items that exist online, which can be owned and tracked, as opposed to physical money and cryptocurrencies, where a single bill or token has the same basic value. NFTs have unique individual worth and content. So this is a little bit of a definition. NFT is also a piece of code or a metadata file that is written into blockchain technology, containing information that is encoded with the digital version of something. Can be a work, can be a piece of art, anything there. The string of codes or the metadata file is normally considered separate from the underlying digital work, and the related digital work may or may not have intellectual property protection. But when it does relate to intellectual property protected work, NFTs indeed have a lot of potential, as Wina was mentioning, in helping artists and IP owners continue to monetize their works downstream in an effective way. So some examples that I have here, but for instance, an NFT could be associated with video games skins, where you could buy a unique skin to customize your character, for instance. It could be associated, obviously, with digital arts, with digital posters to promote movies, no? It can be a representation, for instance, of flowers and chocolate or something for Valentine's Day, as Wina received one recently, no? So ultimately, it can be anything which can have a virtual representation. It is important also to mention that the worth of an NFT is also in the smart contract that is behind. So the contract between parties, the buyer and seller of an NFT.
So it's not just a JPEG, it's not just a JPEG
No,
file. There's
you are
something beyond it. Yeah,
you
it's
are
the smart contract that is important.
the smart contract is actually what is important, and Arabelle mentioned when she was talking about her rights, the importance of the licensing agreements when you pass some of your rights to the buyer, but obviously you try not to pass the full copyrights to the buyer. Otherwise, you don't have the right to earn the money from your work anymore. So this type of agreements that are introduced in the smart contracts of the selling of NFTs is what really gives them value, apart from any speculative value that the markets have or any product may have. I have some examples that I've looked for instance, Glenfiddich whiskey created bottles of 46-year-old whiskey for $18,000 a piece, and they sold it as an own NFT artistic impression of the bottle. So basically, the owner can show off their purchase and acts as a counterfeit proof certificate of ownership as well, as one example of how can be used. Another one, furniture. An Argentinian designer sells furniture NFTs that people can use in open worlds like Decentraland or Minecraft. No, I'm sure everyone or most of you might have heard about Minecraft. So the most expensive piece was sold a little bit under $70,000 US. So you are talking about a huge market for artists to really monetize their work. We'll have to see a little bit how it goes, how it evolves, obviously, because there's also a lot of speculation, but it's definitely something to keep our eye on.
All right. Thao, what do you think about that? So do you think there's a possibility of selling the design of your special through NFT, which means if this customer is using that right, get rights and license of that particular design through the NFT blockchain?
Yeah. Well, as I understood, the nature of NFTs is focused on ownership. And the idea of making particular item like the item that I mentioned, that the customer really want to own it, it's more valuable in this very simple way of, because it's own, right? So it make it more valuable. So I think it's the NFT it's really good at focus on the innate human perception that owning thing is a valuable itself, and I think that it's allow clients, customer, fans to associate with experience with the value, right? So I think it's as a creator and collector, I think it's a win-win situation where the market dynamics are clearly illustrated, because the owning and also the handwriting of the design, it's clearly seen.
Yeah,
So,
and it can be tracked down. So
exactly.
the smart contract really help.
Yeah.
Arabelle, what do you think? What do you think of the potential of NFT in supporting digital creative economy? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, from what I've seen so far in the past year or so with NFTs, I see, obviously a greater awareness in artists understanding intellectual property and their copyrights. And aside from them generating, an alternate source of income, you can compare it to a more traditional sense, such as galleries or collectors, which can be tough to navigate as a young artist. So, I mean, with NFTs, it lowers the barrier of entry for artists, to sell their works. Anyone anywhere can do it. And yeah, the focus has been honed in on, smart contracts. The immutability and transparency of the blockchain, like we mentioned, is super important. We can embed certain parameters, which allows artists to continue taking royalties every subsequent time the artwork sells. In certain cases in the commercial art market, we do see artworks being resold at a much higher price compared to the original buying price.
Yeah,
so actually the artist
didn't gain anything at that time.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't trickle back to the artist. So, with the ability to continue receiving royalty fees, artists can benefit financially from the resale of the work, which in turn actually allows them to invest it back into their art making, which I think is really important. Because artists, we need money to make our art.
That's true. It gives them more power. Give you guys more power. Pak Igor, so does that improve the understanding of NFT on your part?
Yeah, slowly, I'm getting there. So let me try to get this right. So from my understanding, then these NFTs are a unique code, right? Which can have different applications beyond how they're currently used. The examples you gave, then can also serve as a unique identification of goods, right, Tiago? Just say yes. Do me a favor. Say yes.
Indeed, I think that's a fair explanation of NFTs. So yeah, and basically just to put some more, I think the advantage of the NFTs and the blockchain is that everything is recordable and accounted for. I can share with you an example of how modern technology has been able to identify traditional ASEAN goods, for instance, and I think this might be in line with maybe some potential for Tao to expand. No, so in Thailand, in Lamphun. Sorry for my mispronunciation. They are famous for the intricate silk designs that they put out. No, the prices range, but basically a piece of from experienced designer can cost, let's say, several hundred euros. But obviously the piece, so how can a buyer knows if it's an experienced designer or not? Because there are several designers there. So they integrated the QR codes into every purchase and piece of garments that they put out. So all you have to do is to scan this garment, and who the designer was, how experienced they are, when the work was first made, when it was finished. No, so all this information in the QR codes of your product. No, so with NFTs and blockchain technology, this process can all be accounted for and allows also for greater value to be derived from goods, providing them with this unique identification and the history that people also can trust, which I think it's very, very interesting. And this is the essence behind blockchain technology, and now I do believe that NFTs could be used. I don't know, a couple of real physical goods with the digital provide people with the best of both worlds a little bit. No, so yeah, I think this is potential for designers, for artists, for everyone to really monetize their work and remove barriers, because it's a market that is accessible for almost everyone. No, so I think that's also important.
Thank you. I think you just answered my next question, so I'm not going to ask that question. What do you see the potential? You already explained that. Let's go to the audience, and a lot of questions are coming in. So if any of you want to ask questions, don't go on the chat room, go on the Q&A box, and I'm trying to read. Been selected by the committee here. Let me read one of them. I think this one should be answered by. Now I'm not going to give it to Paigor. I'm going to give it to Paigor. So this one is for Tiago. This is from Leah. Leah, this is her question. How does EU or other organizations supervise plagiarism or illegal intellectual property copy? Especially in Indonesia, there are some cases of TV or social media based copy creative videos from creator and showing it in the media without permission. What is the case like that in European Union?
Well, so basically, I think it's a very good question, and it's one of the challenges also, and with also the big increase also on online sales of products and online streaming, we also can verify the increase of counterfeited goods and the increase of illegal content online. No, so the EU actually cooperates closely with the authorities in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN, both at the ASEAN level, but also on a bilateral level, in order to stop the illegal websites, basically websites selling counterfeited goods. But this has to be in cooperation, because sometimes it involves several jurisdictions, because a website, you can see it in Indonesia, but maybe the website is not based in Indonesia. So it really requires cooperation when it comes to tackle illegal content, same as illegal streaming. It's the same hypothesis there. So we really need to cooperate, and we are doing so. Again, both at the ASEAN level, we are under RISE Plus. We organize, obviously, several technical meetings on enforcement of intellectual property rights, also in the digital world, but also at the bilateral level, in order to support, also share best practices that we have in EU, tools that we have created to facilitate. But yes, lastly, if I may, just something that also pops in my mind is we also promote the cooperation between the brand owners or creators with the platforms. So basically, if we're talking about e-commerce and counterfeited products, big platforms such as Lazada, Alibaba, Facebook, all of these are e-commerce platforms. So these platforms, we try, and we've done several events, putting them together with the IP owners. So basically, for them to have a easy platform to communicate in order to take down any products that are not real. So I think this collaboration, not only between, obviously, institutional cooperation between EU and ASEAN member states, but also between the owners and the platforms is also needed to fight against counterfeit products and illegal content.
That will prevent the seller to gain profit from it, wouldn't it? Because
Correct.
it then stopped by the platform. Maybe the owner of the copyright product who don't have the power has the power to make us stop. There's one more question. I don't know, maybe from Rahmat Isra. Rahmat Isra from Indonesia has this question. Let's see who can answer this one. Rahmat's question is how to know that your brand is already registered, even for protected one or copyright, and when it's pirated by others, how to prevent it. Let's let Arabelle and Tao answer this one. Our experience, was it easy to register for you, and how do you protect your work from piracy? Arabelle, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in Singapore, you don't really have to apply for copyright protection, but I think the first step is to actually just go online, Google your country, or your locations, copyright protection, and read up. I mean, the internet has everything nowadays, right? So, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna expert myself, but yeah, just do a quick Google. But depending on what you do, like in terms of photography, for myself, like I previously mentioned, ensuring that you correctly like metadata your work so that whenever your images go anywhere, that metadata is connected and embedded. Yes, embedded to that image. So unless someone, screenshots it, it's a bit different in that sense that the metadata cannot be captured in the screenshot. So with that, I guess that's where, you might come into problems. I'm not so sure how it would play out if, let's say, someone actually uses your work and monetizes it. I think you can actually, I guess, let the person know, hey, this is my work. But I mean, if they're refusing to, then that's when you have to, I guess.
All right. How about you, Tao? What's the process like to register your brand name? It's a little bit different because with Arabelle, it's the artwork, but with Tao, you have a brand name that you need to protect.
It's quite easy and simple in Vietnam. You have to do some paper work, and the process is really like straight and direct. So you have to go to the authority who gonna, assist you the step of making the paperwork. And when you have it, yes, it's fully protected in Vietnam. Hugo, you school me about that because I'm, we just register in Vietnam. So yeah, I need to learn more about other market. If one day you see the brand being used in Europe or other continents, and I think it's very important for any artists and creators to document on the work. Every step of going to the work. That is, it's a, that's going to protect you at the end of the day. And yet, like Arabelle say, on the photos and on the references of the work, you need to embed on the informations, date and the hidden code, whatever you put in there, that would help you a lot and make the design also, hard to copy. I think that's very important. It's work for us because we working with artisan,
with your DNA
the uniqueness.
On it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I'm not gonna let Pak Igor sit around. Question for you, Pak Igor. But this is from Imam Pesuwaryantoro from Indonesia. Ariantoro. His question sounds very interesting.
I think dear Weena is frozen. Weena, can you just repeat the question?
All right, sorry. Let me turn my camera. You'll hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So how do you measure sustainable return on investment of a digital creative economy?
All right, let me try. So basically, you can use the sustainable return on investment methodology, which measures the entire sustainability, say, triple bottom line, which is social, environmental, and economic, right? Mm-hmm. So if traditionally you'll be doing evaluation and evaluation tools, such as business case analysis or life cycle cost analysis, which I guess you're familiar with. This new methodology, you'll take into account the entire scope of potential costs and benefits related to sustainability, while at the same time incorporating a risk analysis component over the project's life cycle. So the process includes traditional inputs such as savings on utility bills, for example, or reduced costs for operation and maintenance, but also input of data such as environmental savings from reduced CO2 emissions, or the value of enhanced productivity from employees working in a green building, for example. I'm thinking about fewer sick days or performing a task more efficiently. So another key feature of this methodology is that it converts to dollar terms, so it monetizes the relevant social and environmental impacts of a project, while at the same time maintaining the benefits of, say, a more traditional methodology or metrics. I think that would be my answer, Wina.
Yes, thank you, Pat. So it's not just bottom line profit. We need to look into other aspects, which is more sustainable. Everybody wins, I think, that way.
That's
because
right.
A lot of times, if it's just profit oriented, somebody lose in the process. But if you look at it in a different way, then it's win-win situation for everybody. All right. Another question from Redo Andesa from Indonesia. A lot of Indonesians asking the question today. How sustainable do we think NFT in the future, as we recently hear backlash on how inefficient in the usage of NFT on the global warming issue? There is an environmental issue behind the blockchain technology. We heard about this. Would anybody like to comment on that, or Tiago or Pa Igor?
Well, Tiago can fill in, but I think we have to acknowledge that there is an environmental impact. Just how big it is, I think this is a fairly new technology. As I said, I discovered it 2 days ago. So just give us some time. But I think it's important to acknowledge that there will be one, and that we'll need to find ways to addressing it. What do you think, Tiago?
Yes, definitely. I think it's something that we need to keep alert regarding the growth of NFTs. Blockchain. It has received already a little bit of backlash regarding environmental causes, and ultimately due to you need a lot of energy to put to mine for the data mining that is used for blockchain and for this type of technologies. So a lot of energies usually can mean, depending on the countries, carbon emissions, and that ultimately is something that we need to be aware and hopefully try to come to a solution to that, as the EU is one of its most important actions and most important objectives. Obviously, it's the environmental one. So we need to be very, very actively looking into that.
I have 2 more questions. One for Arabelle, actually. This is from Potash Pengsavat. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce this correctly. Potash. Do we have to pay for any fees when selling our own design in NFT blockchain market? Arabelle, can you share your experience with Potash Pengsavat?
So yes, there are fees. So there are things, it's called gas fees. So
gas
to
fee,
mint Yeah, so to mint artwork, you need gas fees to go into the blockchain and kind of, do the workings.
Put it out there. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you think about it like a car, you need it to run and you need to put in gas. So I guess maybe that's why it's called gas. Actually,
that's why it's called gas.
I don't know.
Do you have information on how much it will cost in cryptocurrency?
Yeah, it depends on the platform that you're on as well. I mean, for places like Foundation, it is quite high. In USD, I think it can range from, the lowest I've seen is around 60 USD to 100 USD just for minting. I guess that's why the prices of the artworks that you see on places like Foundation are relatively on the higher side, because you also need to factor in your gas fees. So that's kind of the fees involved, and there are also service fees depending on the platform, and also the percentage varies from the different platforms.
Let's not forget local tax fee that you have to pay. So go back to your own country and check what kind of tax will be up your NFT if you're an artist. We have recent cases in Indonesia when someone become a and tax comes into it straight away. So that is not mentioned anywhere in the platform, because that's different local tax. Last question is for Tiago. This is a very important question, by the way. How can civil society support national IP offices in their work in the face of inefficient and expensive process? I don't understand the question, but yeah, there's a concern about being inefficient and expensive process when people register their intellectual property. What's your comment on that?
That's what I get also from the question. So, well, I wouldn't say I share the views of the ineffective process of the IP offices in ASEAN specifically, and obviously at the EU, definitely not. But I think ultimately something that we all also work is putting together associations, trademark associations, or intellectual property associations directly with the IP offices, listening to them, understand what are the challenges they face when working through the IP offices. So, and this should be in turn reflected in the practices of the offices, streamlining their processes. So I think cooperation between civil society and authorities would definitely be useful for everyone, because it might lead to easier processes on the IP offices side, maybe with this more efficient work, would also in the long term lead to lower the fees for protecting intellectual property rights. No, so I think communication, cooperation, it's definitely something that we do a lot at the EU. Anytime we want, well, we have several meetings throughout the year with the representatives of IP right owners. They chip in on our projects, and I think that is ultimately what is necessary to help the offices, but also help the users, because IP office is for the users.
More and more people are aware about this, so it becomes more important, I think, as the day progresses. And I hope that will generate more interest in a more efficient IP office available region, I believe. It's a process. I think locally in Indonesia, I've experienced registering trademarks.
I think you are frozen again. I'm not sure if you can be with us.
We'll give her a second to come back from the digital space.
Frozen.
There we go. We hear you, Wina. Go ahead.
You can hear me again? Yes.
Yeah.
I was just commenting on how progress is different in every country, but of course there's progress in different flow for everybody. And my experience in registering brand name is different 15 years ago. So there's definitely progress everywhere. I think we're gonna go into Kahoot quiz now. I would like to invite Igor to help me out. So for all of you who are here joining us in Zoom, do go to Kahoot. You can enter 2376157. There are 5 very famous EU hampers available for you. And we're waiting for the players to join. If you can go to Kahoot and enter 2376157, you become a player. And I think Pa Igor will help me to read the questions. Okay,
I will.
5 winners will be selected. And if you still don't win this game, you can social media of EU-ASEAN and win the social media quiz in the social media. But for now, let's join the Kahoot quiz. Who is the fastest among us? We can't join. No, I cannot join. Me, Tiago, and Pa Igor will not be joining. Arabella and Tao, you just watch for a while now. But let's see. Okay, if you don't put your real name, how are we supposed to know which one you are?
There's some intellectual property there too, I think, you know.
Yes, there's inspired tiger and joyful piranhas. Okay, so are we ready? Here we go. Just 12 more seconds. Come on. Get ready, get ready, get ready. All right. 41 people is already here. All right, now let's start the game. Get ready. This will be a lot of fun. Snowy gazelle, silly duck.
They're really nice names there. Huh?
They're so much fun. They give you little pictures of the animals, I think. There's lobster and dingo. Fast crane.
I like the smiling otter is my favorite.
Mystery yak. How about that? Okay, we're ready now. If you can start. Let's click the link and insert the game pin. Okay, we're ready. Is it frozen just on my side or?
No, just wait 1 second.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, Pa, you can read the first question, Pa Igor.
All right. There we go. So there's an EU-funded project that promotes ASEAN regional integration through cooperation in the field of intellectual property. What is it? Is it the ARISE Plus ASEAN Customs Transit System? Is it the ARISE Plus Geographical Indications project, I suppose? The ARISE Plus Intellectual Property Rights project? Or the last one, is it the, hold on, something appears on my screen, the ARISE Plus ASEAN Trade Repository? Oof.
The koala is this one. Oh, here we go. Number 2, true or false? Around 7% of ASEAN member states' total GDP comes from creative economy. Is it true or is it false? Let's see who's the fastest today. $60 answers. 3, 2, 1. And the answer is, that's true. 7% of the GDP comes from me. Question number 3. The koala is still leading?
Koala is still leading.
Go ahead, Igor. Question number 3.
All right. So, which of the following options is part of digital content? Is it books, music, gaming, or all of the above?
Fashion is not here.
What is it?
All of
Let's
the
see
above.
whether we have. Oh, indeed.
Oh, the sea lion in koala. Where did you go? Question number 4. True or false? With 70% online, the positive trajectory of digital adoption reduced the barrier entry for MSMEs. Is it true or false? I remember Pak Igor, 40 million new internet users. That's
right.
a staggering amount, sir. Which one do you think it is? Is it a true or false statement? It's true. Sea lion is still leading.
Ooh, the
Go ahead,
dandy
Pak.
sea lion. All right. How many new internet users did ASEAN see in 2020? 10, 20, 30, or 40 million? I must say I like the music behind this game. Again, I'm now thinking about intellectual property of the music. There is something wrong with this session.
It's working.
It is 40 million. Let's see. Bison is leading, followed by tropical dragon. I love the names. Okay, next question. All these creative economy products can be protected by IP except for which one? Photography, fashion design, graphic design, or cryptocurrency? So, which of these creative economy products can be protected? Except cryptocurrency. Thank you. That means you guys are paying attention.
Amazing, huh?
Number 7. Go ahead, Paigor.
All right. What is the set of unique code that can be assigned to a particular item? Is it an NFT, blockchain, metaverse, or again, cryptocurrency? What is it? Who paid attention? Or who was watching football while he should have been listening to us?
Okay, whoever answered out of the room. I'm just kidding. Here we go. Another true or false. All you have to do is click one or the other. Arabelle Swang is a Singaporean artist who holds an art exhibition in traditional ways and also dabbles in NFTs. True or false? Which one is? Of course, it's true. Next one.
All right. What is a sustainable fashion brand that sources traditional fabrics, applies modern techniques, and was founded by no one else than Tao Vu? Is it Kilomet 190, Kilomet 910, Kilomet 109, or Kilomet 019?
This is confusing. Wow. Which one is it? Kilomet 109.
Hey,
see,
again.
The brand is working already. People
Whoa,
recognize the name.
Tropical Dragon is leading. Bison, you need to be faster. Number 10, the last one. What is the total number of internet users in ASEAN? ASEAN, 10 countries. Which one do you think will be the answer? Do I give a clue? No. Let's see the answer. Billion. Yes. And the winner is... Happy Camel! Who's the winner? The Bison wins! Alright! Joining!
Congratulations!
Congratulations! 5 hampers from the way. And don't worry, if you still don't win this, we still have more in the social media challenge. So which social media are you on? Are you on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter? Go to any of them and go follow EU in ASEAN because you can still a quiz in the respective social media. So go ahead and let me check it. EU in ASEAN. So it at EU in ASEAN. Go follow these in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and join the social media quiz right there. And there's also 5 merchandise available. Thank you for joining us. This is so much fun. I'm really glad to be here. And I'd like to again invite His Excellency Pak Igor Drismans, the EU Ambassador to ASEAN, to give a summary of the talk that we just about Tao and Tiago. Go ahead, Pak Igor.
Well, first of all, this was indeed good fun, which is also important. But I think it's presenting something fun, which is in effect a very important topic for ASEAN, for the world at large. The digital economy is booming, the creative industry is booming, and the intersection between both is, I think, a very interesting one. And I think what we've been able to demonstrate is how some of our projects, which Tiago and his colleagues run, we're able to contribute to do that in a secure way that also sustains the economic growth and recovery over the longer term. So I think it was a very, very useful session for that matter. It nicely, I think, exemplifies how EU and ASEAN work together on a lot of things which matter to citizens concretely, to, of course, to people like Arabelle and Tao, but for so many around the region. So anyway, thank you so much. And I won't summarize more because otherwise, when you get me talking, I'll talk too long.
Thank you, Pak Igor. ASEAN, we need to take pictures first. It's an Asian thing to do. Take pictures wherever we go, even in online meeting
I should have
this.
known. I should have known.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Diane and team to take picture of us. But for all 5 of us, let's pose and pretend we're together and because after to your final comments. Hold on. Yes, Pak Igor, your light just went out. Oh, it's back on. Let's go. All right, so I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 3, and then we smile. Here we go. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Please taking a picture of this. Otherwise, it's just gonna look silly. All right.
You just keep on smiling. Keep on smiling.
Before we go. Arabelle, give me your last word on how artists in ASEAN can join the digital creative economy.
Yeah, I mean, we see technologies, booming, and we've got, so many different new technologies, use that, go out, be creative, learn about all these technologies. And, with creative media, it can assimilate itself in so many various industries. So really, it is, a lot of scope for people to explore this as a career. So I'm really excited to see, how people, use technology and that conversion with art, to see what people create.
Limitless possibilities, yeah? Tao, how about you from the point of view of a fashion designer who's also very much into impact, social impact with your surrounding? What's your last words for the audience today?
I think Asian country like Vietnam has been already embracing into digital creativity, and I think it's a way that we can push our economy, overcome the tough time of the pandemic. And I do believe digital platform help us to be connected and allow artists and creators, makers to focus on what they do best, creating, expressing their personality, emotions, and producing works. And yeah, I have a very big faith on this, and that it would have us a lot to move to the future.
Finally, Tiago, last words about intellectual property rights, and so everybody is more aware about this and how we the digital creative economy.
Well, thank you very much. And also, I'd like to thank all the organizers, because I think it was an amazing event today. So all the team behind, congratulations. And yeah, I will take this opportunity again to create some awareness on intellectual property rights. We have to make sure we do that in this field. So indeed, I would encourage everyone to find information about intellectual property rights, understand better how can you protect your creativeness, your artwork, your brand. You can go to our website, Arise Plus IPR. You'll have a lot of training materials there. You can go to the ASEAN IP offices websites, also to understand better the processes. EU IPO also website as an academy which you can learn from. So I really would encourage everyone to look a little bit more, to try to understand better what intellectual property rights are, and make sure you protect yourself. That would be very good for you. So that will be it, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Tiago Guerrero from Arise IPR, Arabelle Huang from Vietnam, and His Excellency Igor Drisman, the EU Ambassador to ASEAN. It's always a pleasure to be able to moderate events of the Youth Talks, regional youth talk show with the EU-ASEAN. Last time I talked about the environment, this time is about digital creative economy. Who knows what other great topics we're going to be talking. So if next time you find another poster of the regional youth talk show, so you can learn so much more and join people from around the region and EU. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Liguina Hananto. I'll see you again in the next regional youth talk show. For now, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
A registered community design. A registered European Union trademark. IP protects your creations. IP is all around us. Copyright protects artistic and literary works. Geographical indications for some products of a specific geographical origin. Patents for innovations. IP is everywhere.